Hey, have you heard about Anchor? You probably haven't heard about Anchor yet, so let me tell you about it. Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. You probably hear other people talk about how they make podcasts. If they say it's easy, they're crazy. All of their methods are really hard and complicated, but Anchor, super simple. First off, it's free. They have creation tools that let you make the podcast right from your phone. You don't even need a computer. This is 2019. Who uses computers anymore? Anchor distributes your podcast on all the other platforms. No need to go do all that complicated searching and hosting and posting. Hosting and posting. They do it for you. You can also make money from your podcast. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, because you're listening to this ad. They've got everything you need to make a podcast in one spot. No need to search around all over the place. No need to go to 20 different sites. Just one. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Bet you thought I was going to sing right here, didn't you?
Are you looking for the hottest news out of the obstacle racing scene? Want to stay up to date on the freshest info, the latest podiums, and hear interviews with the who's who in OCR? Well, you've come to the wrong place. Well, some of that you'll find here. But we're not the media. This is not ORM, OCM, OCRM, ORCM. This is OCR Talk.
Hey everybody, this is Jason Dupree.
And Anna Landry.
And you're listening to OCR Talk episode number 33. How's it going, Anna?
Pretty good. I'm still recovering a little bit.
Oh yeah, well we'll definitely get into that. We were just chatting about our intro, and I said that it was lame how we used to talk about how we had an intro. We're like, we need an intro, we need a good, whatever slogan or saying, and we never got one, and it's just turned into a plain old, hey, this is Jason Dupree and Anna Landry, and you listen to OCR Talk, and that's it. And then you said, yeah,
it's our thing. It's our thing. And
your dog is
playing in the background.
Hey, did you like the exit, the thing that I put there in the exit?
No, it's awesome. My dog is famous. My dog thinks it's time to play. It's like...
Yep, sure does.
She's playing with the other one.
So yeah, this is our intro has become the lame intro that it is, and I don't know. It's a thing. It's what we do. It's normal.
It's our thing.
Okay. Speaking of things, we seem to get good feedback when we have drinks, when we record. I am currently traveling for work, and I guess I wasn't really planning on having drinks while recording, but I did get some drinks last night and didn't have as many as I expected. I ended up getting tired and just going to bed. And so that means I have more to finish tonight because I've got to fly home tomorrow. So that is what we're doing tonight.
Celebrate on a big Wednesday.
It's kind of funny. Piss and Cox from the World's Toughest Community, they every episode that they do, they're always like, here's what we're drinking. And that's kind of how they start.
So Jason, what are you drinking?
I'm having woodchuck. Just plain old amber woodchuck. It's one of my...
Plain old vanilla woodchuck cider.
It's what I started with. It's just woodchuck, and it seems like woodchuck's not as popular as it used to be since Angry Orchard has come about, and there's a ton more as well now too. But so it's kind of rare that I see it. So usually when I do, it's like, oh wow, I haven't had woodchuck in quite a while. So let me have some woodchuck. What about you?
I got some strawberry canebrake from good old Broussard, Louisiana.
Broussard? Where is Broussard?
It's like south of Lafayette, I guess, where all the new development is.
Okay.
And fun fact, I didn't know this until tonight. I've been living here for I don't know how long. But all their 6-packs, this just goes to show like how often I buy beer. So all their 6-packs has a map to their brewery on the bottom.
On the bottom?
Yeah, on the bottom of their 6-packs.
Is it... on the 6-pack, okay.
Like on the carton or whatever you want to call it.
That's cool. Does it say, come visit us or anything?
Yeah. It says, come take a tour.
Oh, right on.
Brewery. And I know like a lot of the local breweries around here do that kind of stuff. Like there's another brewery, LA 31 maybe, or maybe it's Bayou Teche. I don't know, but they do like pretty cool stuff on the weekends. Like they'll have like a live band set up at their brewery and like a little restaurant and everything. It's pretty cool.
Nice. I know my favorite brewery, which is the Bishop Cidercade. It's actually they've taken their warehouse where they do their cider making, and they have turned it into a really amazing arcade. But they do tours there as well, and they talk about how it gets made and all that good stuff, and pretty interesting thing to learn, and especially I'd say the biggest thing that interested me about it was that they started out with their cider being very flat, just no bubbles, and I liked it like that a lot. And then they changed it because people are so quick to say I didn't get that sound when I opened the can, and I thought it was bad. Like people didn't like that it didn't have bubbles, and that made me a little sad because they ended up changing
They
it.
added the bubbles.
Yeah. So most of their stuff. Now, if you go to the Cidercade, there are some, because they'll have like 20 different rotating ones, but they only mass produce for stores about, I don't know, 6 or so. So there are some of them definitely that are still pretty non-carbonated. Because cider is actually considered a wine when it comes to creating and selling, I believe.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Now, you said that you're still recovering from Conquer the Gauntlet.
Yeah. Can I tell you? And I think I mentioned it in your Instagram story or whatever. You were recording me walking across the pond. But I'm like, I have not cramped like that during a race ever, ever, ever. Like ever, ever. I don't know if I just underestimated the heat. Well, no, I'm not going to say that I underestimated the heat because I knew how hot it was going to be or how hot it could have potentially have been. And like I didn't change anything about my fueling or my nutrition that I usually do before races like that. And I don't know why that like I kept cramping during that race and it was just horrible. Like there were points during the race where I would be walking and I could literally see my quads like cramping on me. It was the weirdest thing I've ever experienced. Like, oh my gosh.
I do want to dig into that, but I want to save that for the end because we got probably a good bit of things to talk about for Conquer the Gauntlet, and we've got a few things to talk about before that. So let's come back to that. Let's circle back around.
Circle back.
Have you been running since?
My first run was last night at the group run, and I was supposed to go tonight because it's Global Running Day and all. But it's been pouring down rain like all day. Oh. And I'm just not about that right now. Just not about that life.
Like I said, I'm in Arkansas at the moment, and I believe Arkansas, just like Oklahoma, has been seemingly to get hammered over and over with rain and storms. So their rivers are really high, and the restaurant I was in, they were actually talking about how people had to go a long way to get, like a roundabout way to get to where we were from Little Rock. It's been crazy, I guess. Then in Dallas, it's we've gotten the rain, but it's not like flooded and stuff. But it seems like the states above us, just above us, are really getting the brunt end of it.
Yeah, the rains are river levels have been high here. Like they were talking about opening up a spillway and relieving some of the pressure off some of the levees, and now like we're getting all this heavy rain and the river's been high, so now it's just going to get worse. So I'm kind of wondering if there's going to be some flooding in the outlying areas.
But nothing so far, huh?
No, not so far. The neighborhood that I live in, like I don't really get flooded. My yard will hold water, but I really don't get flooded to where I can't get out of my house.
I've heard a lot of people talk from the Tulsa area, and I was actually in Tulsa for work earlier this week, and we went to this fancy restaurant, fancy steakhouse that was down an alley, no sign, big green door with a little statue of a bull above the door. So you had to know what it was
to get in.
Yeah, there might have just about. Like that's how speakeasy style. It was pretty cool though. It was a good place. Thankfully, the company that we partner with paid for the dinner because it was super fancy. Let's just say how fancy it was. Our appetizer was hand cut slices of bacon, and they were $4 a piece.
A piece?
For a piece of bacon, that was $4.
For a piece of bacon. Like, how thick was this bacon?
It was decently thick. I mean, it was good, but it would be hard for me to, like, what's a pack of bacon cost? What, $8 maybe?
I don't know, probably.
I mean, and that's the good thick stuff too.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Thick cut.
I went running today. I am about an hour northwest of Little Rock, and Petit Jean State Park is about 20 minutes from here. I've spent a ton of time in Arkansas traveling because I'm from Louisiana. It's a quick place to get to a mountain-esque area, in any mountain being relative. But I with my parents and by myself as an adult, have passed through and camped and hiked and done so much, but have never actually come here. And even my parents have come here quite a few times, but not me. So it was my first time getting to go to that state park. And they had a few different trails to choose from. And because of time restraints and the way I've been doing, I chose the 4.5 mile one. And it was nice. It was kind of drizzly on me the whole time, so I didn't get too hot, and got to see some cool features, rock features.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool.
It was a good run. And then I ate at the lodge that was up, on the mountain.
That's cool. I have never been to well, I haven't spent a good amount of time in Arkansas, I should say. Even living as close as I always have. Like, I've lived in Texas, and then I've lived in Louisiana. And then for a short period of time, I lived in Tennessee. But I've never spent like a good bit of time sightseeing in Arkansas.
So Deliverance was filmed in Arkansas, I believe.
Really?
You know that movie?
Yeah.
I do believe that Arkansas gets, a stereotype but it's not like it's untrue. I mean, there are places there are some very backcountry places in Arkansas. And now I'm curious. I'm gonna cut this out, but I gotta look it up real quick. So what I was looking up to confirm is you think backcountry, so backcountry that there are people that are blue, because supposedly it's because of such great depths of inbreeding. But that turns out that's actually in Kentucky. So, just north of Tennessee. So kind of similar style of area, but that's not. The blue people are not not the people in Arkansas. But funny story about Arkansas is one time I was riding my motorcycle through here on a road called the Pig's Tail, very curvy. And at this gas station, this old man who was also riding alone said, "Hey, how's it going? Where you headed? What you do? How's your ride going?" And he asked if he could ride with me. And I was like, "I'm about to get some breakfast, but sure." So he was writing an article that he was going to send in to some motorcycle magazine. So he was looking to, for one, just get some time hanging out with somebody, but also get something to write about. The people that he meets along the way, because he was traveling from like Pittsburgh across the country or something like that. So we rode for a ways, and I was trying to get from the Pig's Tail to some other spot, and we ended up taking this gravel road up this mountain and didn't know if we had a way to get through where we were trying to go to, and we ended up turning around and going back. So he's just following me along this whole way, and we stopped at this stop sign, and he said, "You ever seen Deliverance?" And I said, "No, I've heard of it, but I hadn't seen it." And he said, "Well, go watch it, because I kind of felt like I'm getting followed through these woods. I'm not really sure what to expect here." And then I watched it later, and I was like, I see what he's getting at.
Did you feel like you had survived something at that point? Like, oh, so that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, I definitely have thought about it. Like, I don't know. I never run into any people. Now, there was a different trip that I was on in Arkansas, and I had looked for a campground, and everywhere I went was either full or too far away. And I made it to one that was like a day use area, but it was closed down because they had an ice storm that had tore down a bunch of trees and stuff. So then they hadn't cleaned it and opened it back up yet. So it was empty, and blocked off with enough room for me to get a motorcycle through. But I stayed there overnight by myself. So it was like completely empty. You know that there's no other people, or it's not supposed to be other people around, or guards or state park rangers or anything like that. So it was kind of a little creepy. Like, what if some random people walk through here? And, that was the kind of the thought that could cause some fear. The interesting part is that it was cold and I wasn't quite prepared for it. And I woke up in the middle of the night because of some noise from a barking animal and got up and tried to make a fire. Thought I could see something. Your mind plays tricks on you. So I look in the distance in the dark and I couldn't get a fire going because it was too wet. And I see like a white thing. And I'm like, there's nothing white out here. There shouldn't be something white. And I let it go because, it's too dark to really tell. And woke up in the morning, and sure enough, it was actually the dog that woke me up. It was a white dog. So I actually did see him off in the distance, which is very interesting because it kind of, it was creepy. But he was friendly enough to like walk up and wag his tail, but not comfortable enough to let me pet him. That was very interesting night. I'll leave it at that. One down.
Slacker, I'm on my second. But I started beforehand, so.
Welcome back to the Travel Channel. We've got more stories of fun adventures off in the wilds.
The Arkansas bush people.
Now,
Dude, my dogs are going crazy. They've been cooped up in the house all day because it's been raining. They're playing on my bed right now.
So before we actually started recording, you actually sent me a message saying that you were on somebody else's podcast.
Yeah.
Just the other day. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so Denny Crahy, he does a podcast called Diz Runs, and he's a runner. Denny
Crahy?
I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. Denny Crahy. And
whoa, something just broke.
No, she just ran into the bowl. It's okay. She came flying, running out of my room, following me because I keep going back and forth from room to room. So she came flying out of my room and ran into her bowl. She's fine. Yeah, so Denny Crahy, he's on the Ultra Red team with me. He does this podcast called Diz Runs.
Diz with a Z.
Yeah, D-I-Z. Diz Runs. And he just like interviews different people. My friend Walker Higgins was on his podcast a few months ago, maybe last year sometime. And yeah, he just interviews different people about running.
It looks like he's got your episode 735.
Yeah, right?
How long has he been doing it?
A while. Like this is his day job, I think. Pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask him what we need to do so that we can do nothing but this in real life.
Right. Actually, funny thing, whenever we first started this podcast, I want to say that like I put out like a blanket message to maybe that group or maybe another ambassador group that we were in together. I'm pretty sure he was one of the people that like offered up some advice whenever we were first starting up our podcast. So yeah.
Nice. Do you remember what he said?
Oh gosh, no.
Have we taken that advice?
Probably.
We must not have.
Probably. I don't know.
That's why we're not living off this yet.
That's why we're not episode 733.
Well, if you remember what it is. Did you mention our podcast?
I sure did.
Nice.
He said, yeah, we talked about our podcast and then we talked about OCR.
Did he know about it before that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess
Very
since
cool.
like I had asked him for advice, he had listened to maybe like an episode or two. Not right like a regular listener or anything, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's caught a few episodes. 1 or 2 at least. So, but yeah, it was just kind of like how we do, just like hang out and talk. We just sat and talked and he asked me questions about OCR because that's totally not his thing. And like he just likes running. He's like, I'll leave the obstacles to you. But yeah, he just asked me about training and how we train for these things, or just different run-of-the-mill questions about OCR and things like that. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, I guess you do this for so long and like you just kind of forget, why you got into it or
I don't.
how you got.
I
Well,
remember.
no,
I think about it every
every
night before I
time.
go to bed.
You reflect on it. Is that what you meditate on? As you're drinking or as you're taking your sleep elite and
hmm Makes me dream fast.
So yeah, that was a fun little interview.
Very cool. I definitely will check it out before or on my way home. It is Diz Runs Radio that I found it on Stitcher pretty easily. And you are episode 735, the most recent one.
Yeah. I got my notification whenever it got uploaded. I was like, sweet.
Cool. I'm going to look back for Walter Higgins as well.
Yeah, his is a really good episode. His is pretty good.
We had a review recently from a person that has previously left a review, but they wanted to
Oh, so you're not talking
that.
about the Viagra ad?
That Mike and Caitlin got saying something about
we haven't made it to that level yet, man. That's how we know we make it.
We haven't got spam or hate mail. No hate mail.
No hate mail, no spam.
What do we gotta do to get some hate mail?
What do we gotta do to get some spam on our reviews?
Are we not mean enough? Do we need to be more mean? Everybody's been dogging Benny lately since Benny and Bracken
Poor Benny
have started. Maybe we can talk about him and get who was it? Was it Mike and Caitlin that got somebody got it might have been them that got a message.
Oh yeah,
was from a Benny supporter.
Yeah, but they only left 3 stars. 3 stars. Come on.
Yeah, no. But which is unfortunate because it's like, why are you leaving a review about the show? But because you disagree with something that it's not. It's not a reason that the show is bad because they disagree with a thought they had. It's not like whatever. I'm gonna talk crap about that person that left that review. What was their name? I don't remember. They can go. I don't know. I don't want to say they can go die. That's too much.
That's a little severe. It's a little severe, Jason.
So the review we got was from Mark Duplessis, who anybody that's listened to this podcast hopefully knows and loves. Mark added to his review or reworded it or whatever after we went to Austin and we were chatting about the podcast and just some other things. And the reason it came up is because we were talking about how our podcast started. We've talked about this before. I felt like there was a hole in the podcast space. There was plenty of shows where people are interviewing other people, maybe recapping races. We do a little bit of that, but the main part of it was just that all shows that I've listened to had or mostly have interviews. Mm-hmm. The only one I can think of that was close to what we do would be the New England Spartans. I still have a hard time saying that. Spartans. I feel like a bozo. But they did a pretty good job of that, of usually 2 or 3 people just chatting about, what's going on in the scene. That might be, I guess, the closest, and if not, maybe some of the inspiration that I had. But so many other ones, like even Obstacle Dominator, while they did a lot of just chatting, it was still a lot of interviews as well. Like I usually had somebody else on the show. So that's what I wanted. And then, right before we started, Will, Heather, Mike, Josh, Matt B. Davis, they all had a couple of OCR roundtables, which we've really not, nobody's really done a lot of those since. And when that happened, I've said this before, when that happened, I was like, crap, somebody that's my idea. Like, that's what I want to do. So I've got to get this going before it just completely gets, to where I'm just a copycat. So we did, and we started it, and it's been good. And I'm not trying to say that anybody can't else do nobody else can do this. That's a silly thing to say. But I did start it because it felt like it was a whole space that needed to be explored, as just the conversations from everyday people about not only the everyday perspective of it, but and we're kind of at a good medium to where we're competitive, but we remember what it was like to be an everyday person, but we also relate to the elites in a way. But so we can talk about rules and stuff like that, but also
we don't take ourselves too seriously, as we're both drinking on the podcast.
That's a long way to just say that that's how we started. And since then, Josh and Matt B. Davis have done their own obstacle discourse, and they've really done a great job with it. And they started out trying to do it small, 15 minutes recap on basically the latest news or goings-ons. Josh actually had an episode or two where he did that on the New England Spartans by himself, when their main guy, I forget his name, Paul, maybe, something like that, decided he wasn't going to do or wasn't going to head up the podcast anymore. So Josh had maybe 2 episodes where he just gave the news, and that was it. It was a little dry. It was a little like, here's the news, I'm presenting it, it's done, and that was it. Him and Matt obviously have a great retort back and forth. I am glad that I do this, with somebody else, because it adds to it. I probably would, like right now, I'm just rambling on. You haven't said much in a while, so now I just sound like I'm just spinning in circles. Yeah, exactly.
Chasing your tail.
You gotta cut me off and say, "Hey."
No, but it gives you like another person to bounce ideas off of, or and I say this a lot in a lot of our podcasts, but like you're having a conversation with another person, which is kind of the whole basis around our show.
Yeah.
This is the conversation that you would have sitting down with your OCR friends. So
this is the conversation you probably did have. Yeah, on the way back from a
many
race
times
or something. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it just gives you like another ear to bounce ideas off of, or thoughts, perspectives, things like that.
Right. So I've really stretched this to where my point is probably not related anymore. Tangent. But Mark's no, it's still related. We just pushed it so far back. Anyway, Mark's review says 5 stars. Loving the format of this podcast. It feels as if though I'm sitting there with my friends, just having a conversation and learning more about the role of OCR every time. This podcast has constantly gotten better as time goes on. Love hearing about the different races they attend and the insight into OCR. This isn't a news podcast. This is 100% a conversation about what is happening in the world of OCR. It's like the talk show of OCR podcasts and fills a void that is left open. Clearly, other podcasts have taken note, as some are now having standard conversation episodes, but don't let them fool you. OCR Talk does it the best.
That's awesome.
So
he might be
Mark's
a little
biased.
Review. Full disclosure, he is one of our friends, but obviously, yeah, he speaks the truth also. So
I still greatly appreciate it, because we may not be the best. Maybe we are, maybe we're not, probably not. But I do strive to do this well. I focused on quality of the audio. I do focus on trying to speak well and not have too many ums and pauses, and of course that stuff I cut out. But one of the cool things that I always have to constantly remind myself is energy. And I'm sure anybody that's ever been in theater or debate or any kind of discussion program knows that it's boring if you sound, boring. And I guess that's kind of more of like an insight to anybody else that's also trying to do the same thing. There are plenty of other podcasts out there, and some of them are great with their energy. And sometimes when we record later in the evening, it's hard. It's hard to keep that energy high, and like when you're talking, have emphasis,
right.
It sometimes it sounds like overacting, but it's like makeup on TV. You don't notice it, but if they don't have makeup on, you notice it.
Notice
it. Right. It's a necessity because of the format.
Right.
I think. I just do want everybody to know that I do try. There are times, and I know there's episodes where I've been like, I bet this is really coming across how tired I am. but I try not to. So even if I am tired, it's like, it's a little bit, we are putting on a show. We are just
Yeah.
chatting, but there is a little extra level of force and thought behind the enunciation of my words and different things like that. So
Good to know.
that's trade secret there.
Trade secret. It's like being in
What's the
speech class
phrase
in
given
high
away?
school all over again.
Did you take speech? I never did. So
You
this
never did
is-
speech in high school?
This is actually good for me for my job because I speak in front of clients
Yeah.
about the software that we work with.
Right.
And that job has probably prepared me better for this than this does for that job, but both hand in hand help out a lot.
Yeah.
Because every time I catch myself saying, I have to stop and kick myself in the head mentally, not physically.
I used to have my speech teacher in high school. He was so irritated by the ums and the likes and all those filler words, and he was so irritated by them.
I can understand that because when it happens sometimes, it's not a big deal. But most people have a problem where it's constant and consistent and it sounds bad.
Whenever you're the one
It's
speaking,
distracting.
you don't hear that
You don't notice it
saying it that much with that frequency. So
until
you don't notice
somebody
it until somebody
points it out. And then you're thinking about it, and every time you do it, you notice for sure.
Exactly.
But it is distracting, and I know I'm not great about it. I'm not good about it in conversation even, but I try to. Here's the problem. People, I'd say I'm a great example because you hear how long my pauses are. Now, they're not as long on the podcast because that gets cut out. But sometimes when I am talking, my pauses are longer than I would like them to be. And that feels uncomfortable. And that's why people use fillers, because they don't like that uncomfortableness of the silence.
Yeah, they have to fill that silence. You have to fill the gap.
Yeah, it kind of makes you sound, you think that you sound stupid because you can't think of the next word. Now, I'm terrible at thinking, like, I'll be talking about something and then a word will just completely disappear out of my brain, and then I have to go searching for it before I can come back and find it. But it is important, especially in a medium like this, to limit that. And even if you have pauses, and this is kind of going into like just speech tips, I guess. If you have pauses, let them happen, because it's not as distracting. Sometimes that silence, sometimes that moment that you stop, and I wish this moment was going to be as long as it would be after I cut it, because I probably won't save the space. But when you stop and then you come back to it, that is a powerful moment. Silence can be very powerful in speech, in comedy, in life. So I feel like we haven't talked about life on the show lately.
We never talk about life. We should talk about life and have Enya playing in the background.
That was, up until the April Fool's episode, that was my favorite one. Well, that was the last time we drank.
Yeah, that was the last time we drank on a podcast.
Wait,
Or
you didn't drink.
You
on
were
that
drinking.
I remember going on long runs and playing that episode and then restarting it just so that I can hear the parts with the Enya stuff again. It was just so good. Conan O'Brien has a podcast where he just talks to people that he's, met in real life from his job, but thinks that they're interesting and would like to be friends with them, whether he is or not already. And then he talks more to them, like trying to get to know them and stuff. But so listening to somebody like that, somebody whose job it is to converse and look and be funny at the same time, listening to them do what we're doing right now is awesome, and
They make it
trying to
sound so
learn from that.
easy. Yeah, it's just so like effortless to them, Just
Yeah.
how do you think of some of the questions you're gonna ask them? Because sometimes they just come up on the fly like that. Like you don't know that person A is gonna talk about whatever, and then all of a sudden you come up with this question that you would have never even thought about asking. So it's
Yeah.
like, how do you even think of asking that
Dude's a
question?
pro.
That's his
Dude's
life's
a
work.
pro.
That's why he does it
and
for.
it is.
That's why he does it for a living. So, and
Exactly.
that's why I'm a nurse.
And I'm a software worker guy. So we're going to ask Diz Runs how to make money off of that. And then afterwards, I'll call Conan and ask him
There you go.
for some tips.
There
as
you go.
well.
I want to quit my day job. Tell me how to do that.
Now, one thing I did learn from his podcast that I really like is when he does his ad reads, they are ridiculous. And I may have mentioned this before, and that's why I've changed mine up. But he's got ad reads for just random stuff that he probably doesn't care about. I mean, they're just doing it for the money, but he reads them in a way that's funny. So he talks about it and just makes little jokes and stuff, and then you can tell where it's the ad read and where he's just making up stuff. So that's what I've gone for. Now, I'm nowhere near as funny as Conan, but that's why our ads are the way they are now. And speaking of which, now that we're 43 minutes into the episode, this
is still OCR latest talk, by the way, for everybody that's still listening.
The latest ad read, if you're listening to it lately and not, by the time I get another one, is still for Anchor. So it's actually for their new voice messaging service on their podcast platform. So if you look in the show notes, you'll actually see a link for leaving a voice message. Unfortunately, right now, it doesn't seem like it's working. Like if you go on Stitcher and look in the show notes and click on it, it takes you to a 404 page.
Oh, dang. So no one's left us a voice message?
No, people have tried. Oh. At least one person has tried. But if you do it in the Anchor app, you can leave a voice message. Oh. So unfortunately, we haven't gotten any yet because that's not helping us.
So it's only supported by the app.
I have reached out to Anchor support, and apparently it was a bug, and they're still working on it. Now, this is a free platform, so
beta version.
I can't complain that they haven't fixed it yet, but hopefully that'll be fixed soon. Now, whether we're getting voice messages or not, we're still getting money off of the ad, so that's cool because it's paying more than the last ad was.
Nice.
And
thanks, Anchor.
We haven't gotten a ton of money, and we're only giving away stuff, and that's our shtick here is to.
But I think that's what I like most. Yeah, I think that's what I like most about it is that like we don't make a lot to like quit our day jobs or anything, but we make enough to give back to the people that support us and listen to us. So I think that's cool too.
I can promise everybody that if we actually start making enough to quit our day jobs, I will be upfront about that and let you know, hey, this money's no longer going to giveaways. It's going so that I can. But at that point, we'll be doing more. That'll never happen. What am I talking about?
This is too much of a hobby. Who are we kidding?
The different ways that we get money right now are through the ad reads, through every listen that we get for that. Through using the code when you're checking out for Endure Elite, when you're getting your Sleep Elite and your Fishing Elite and your
Join Elite.
Join Elite. Join Elite's a real one.
Join Elite is a real product, by the way.
So when you're getting all your...
It was not what Ryan was expected when he ordered Join Elite.
Oh, that's deep. That's a deep cut.
Shots fired. I was just using his own words.
Did you see my post on his... Did he say that? Did he really say that?
I'm pretty sure he said that.
That's awesome. Did you see my comment on his post about his wedding?
Oh, his wedding pictures that he posted on Instagram?
Yeah. So it had pictures of lobster and the wedding, of course. And so that reminded me of that whole deal after the DHEA incident where him and Evan got into it. And one of Evan's things was like you posted pictures about eating lobster a few days after this happened and got announced. You should have been in remorse. And then Ryan Woods was like, F off. You can't tell me how to grieve. And I was at a thing where I didn't even pay for them. So shut up.
Rules are made to be broken.
Yeah. So I commented and said, a little, shoot, I don't even remember what it was. I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, maybe I'm full of myself, but I thought it was pretty good.
You had to be there.
Anyway, go look at his lobster pictures and you can look in the comments and see it. Said something about it was too, how dare you post pictures of lobsters and getting married, in quotes. marriage, something, I don't know.
A life of bliss.
So there's the reference code for 10% off at EndurElite.com.
Ref10.
REF10-OCR Talk gets you 10% off. And that gives us a little cut. So while you're getting your Sleep Elite, you can give us a little money to help hopefully give you a giveaway. And the giveaways, now I used, the last giveaway winner was Charlotte Engelman, and she got a tumbler. And I used Etsy for it because all the sites most sites where you get stuff printed, you have to have a minimum. And Etsy is like a single person, just making their craft or whatever. And she posted pictures about it, and it came out really good. Like, I don't know if you saw it, but I liked it a lot. Like, April saw it. She's like, I want one of those. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
You didn't see? You saw Charlotte's post. I thought you
commented on it.
I
did see Charlotte's post. Okay. I'm sorry.
So I'll probably look to use that kind of stuff. But our other place that we've gotten money from in the past is that stupid Spreadshop site. It's a place where you basically, sell merch with your stuff on it, your logo on it. And I looked at it to update it, and they have a whole bunch of more products than they had before. So there's actually some pretty rad, like, zip up fleece hoodie with OCR Talk on the back, or some of the other ones. A lot of different, like, women's style hoodies and long sleeve shirts. There's really a whole bunch of different stuff on there now. So it's not like the prices are great, but
I always forget about
it's
that
good
one.
stuff.
Merch.
It's an easy way to go get something like a one-off, since we don't have to do a mass run of it.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. So go check that out. Go check out old Spread Shoppity Shop and buy some stuff. Now that we're here, now that we haven't even gotten into our OCR conversation.
Welcome back to OCR Talk.
What is our next giveaway going to be?
What is our next giveaway going to be?
All right, we're talking about Spreadshop. Let's use it. I want you to look at what we've got available on Spreadshop, and you can decide what we're going to use, what we're going to give away. I did a whole ad read for this, and I ended up not airing. shop.spreadshirt.com/OCR Talk.
Ooh, I like the trucker hat. That's just what caught my eye.
Okay.
Trucker hat.
There's even toddler shirts on there. Hang on. Now, this is showing you, the main page just shows, it says all products, but it's really not. So click the little three lines, and then you can look at, you can browse the different style stuff. You see it like gives a little fly out, and you can see all products, men, women. So if you just go to like women and do all, you can see all of it.
I still see the trucker hat.
That's the one you want? It's actually it looks like a trucker hat, but it's actually a baseball cap with a snap on the back. Well, I guess that is a trucker cap, isn't it? It doesn't have the mesh in the back.
There's two. There's one snapback, and there's another one that's just a baseball cap. What's the difference?
That one is like a one size fits all with the back is like a baseball cap doesn't have the snap in the back. It just goes all the way around. And
the snapback is like the flat bill.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird that it looks flat. Like, obviously you can bend it to whatever shape you want, right. But it does have the snap in the back so that somebody can affix it to their head.
The baseball cap though looks like a small, medium, or a large, extra large.
Is there a size? Oh yeah, it does have a small, medium, or extra large, extra large.
Why is it cheaper than a snapback?
I don't know. That's weird.
So I say the baseball cap.
And they have them in different colors, and you can actually see some of like the shirts and stuff with a model, like a real person wearing it, to get an idea of what it looks like. It's pretty cool. So, out of all those things, what should we offer as our next giveaway?
The crop top.
Matt B. Davis wins. Crop top. You must post a picture in it.
Yeah, baseball cap.
Okay.
Can't have
the baseball or the snapback. I feel like the snapback's easier to know that you can get a fit
to heads.
Yeah. Now there are different colors too, so whoever wins gets to choose
their color.
Which color they want. There's it's just
Black
all
and
black, black
gray.
and gray, black and blue, black and red, all red. Which one would you choose?
That black and blue looks pretty cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Different.
All right, so the next giveaway person will win a snapback baseball cap with the OCR Talk logo on it. So to enter, you must...
Since we're drinking during this episode, send us your favorite drink.
just a like that in a comment or like a picture or...
Yeah. You can tag us in a picture, private message us, email us, however.
Let's go with that. You don't have to send us a picture because we didn't get many responses that way.
Posts with that. But yeah.
So let's go. You send us
a message, email us.
A message on Facebook or Instagram. Email us at ocrtalk@gmail.com or tag us in a post that we will see with your favorite drink. Any of those methods, just send us your favorite drink. And you can have a picture with it or not, doesn't matter. But that will put you into the random draw for an OCR Talk snapback baseball cap.
Heck yeah. Your choice of colors.
Now let's get into...
Back to
OCR
talk.
Conversation? Nope. Let's talk about CrossFit.